Hey, GTC, Jared and Shane here. And let me tell you something. We've been doing a bit of car shopping, and despite what you may or may not hear out there, we think the car market really sucks right now, and probably not the best time to buy.
All right, so here we are, GTC, back with Jared and Shane. And Jared and I have been chatting over the past couple weeks. He's been on a renewed and refreshed car hunt, I should say. And he had his hopes up, and he was determined to go out and just shop and work these sales guys over and find a good deal. And I think they chiseled your enthusiasm away pretty quick, and it ended up being kind of a sour, rotten experience, huh? You kind of walked away and said, "I'm done for a while." You know?
Yeah, that's exactly right. You and I we just had that conversation last night about I'm kind of just where I'm at now is I'm sitting tight for a while. I went ahead because I've been listening to bunch of channels about, hey, maybe the car market's, settling in and this might be a good time to buy. This is typically kind of a time of the year where you would expect dealers to be more aggressive, whether it's towards the end of the year in December, or we just had a couple of big holidays, right? So you would think that maybe they would we just had the President's Day holiday, and saw all these deals being advertised. Also, we're running into tax season now, where typically people get some refunds and maybe they have a little bit of extra scratch that they can play with. So I went out and I started dipping my toe, and I'm open to, like you and I, Shane, we're car people. We're always open to a new car idea, right? And a couple of things, like for one, everyone knows I sold my Challenger, so I don't have that anymore. Still have the Hellcat Red Eye. But I'm looking for something a little more fun as a daily, and also I'm open to the idea of upgrading my SUV. So I've been looking at all kinds of stuff. The SUV's got about getting close to 40,000 miles on it, so I've had it for about 4 years. Maybe it's a time you either double down and keep it, right, and run the wheels off of it, or you look for something new. So real quickly, I've looked at things like the Elantra N, right? And that might be a fun little daily. I miss my manual. Anyone who's seen our last video, now know that I ended up settling with a Pontiac Solstice, an older car. So I kind of zigged instead of zagging and ended up with a Solstice with, roughly 10K out of pocket. It made a lot of sense, low mileage. It's almost no investment in that. But honestly, just I have been to so many dealerships over the last, since end of December. I mean, a dozen at least, where I've had real conversations with them. And Shane, you and we've bought our share of cars, and we talk about negotiation, and I turn into kind of a-hole mode when I get in there and start talking with them, because I'm not trying to completely bend them over and get some kind of crazy deal, but I want to feel like I'm being respected, and that we're getting a fair deal. You know what I'm saying? Like my GMC Acadia I got for $10,000 under MSRP. I bought it in January of 2021. It was a 2020 model, carried over from the previous year. So I'm very disappointed in what I've seen. If you look at Car and Driver, some of the top SUVs land with the Kia Telluride, Kia, even the Sorento, I think, is in the top 10. The Hyundai Palisade is another one. The newly designed Hyundai Santa Fe ranks up there pretty well, right? The problem is that there's been so much price inflation, especially when it comes to Stellantis and the Hyundai group, which includes Kia. I think they lead in price inflation over the last 4 or 5 years. Let's just go to Kia example here, okay? And I'm just going to pull up my local Kia dealership website.
Okay, while you're doing that, real quick, So
Yep.
for the audience, you have a 2021 GMC Acadia.
2020. Yep.
2020, sorry. You got MSRP on it was what? Do you remember? 50?
It was knocking on 50. It was like
Okay.
45 and change or something like that. Yeah. And I got it for
Okay.
10 G's under MSRP.
And it's a loaded, it's not the Denali, but I've been
No.
in it. This thing has
Yep.
everything. Sunroof,
Everything.
leather seats, captain
Yep.
chairs, and it's got 40,000.
Heated,
Okay, I want
cooled
to give that
seats.
perspective. And you
Yep.
own it. You own
I
it.
own it outright.
Okay.
Do not
Okay.
owe anything. And so let's first start there, right? So the trade-in was like, and I'm very clear with them up front when I go to talk with them. I don't mince words, and I just said, look, you're not going to get me on both ends. I said, you're not going to I'm looking for a good price on the car, a fair price on the car. I want under MSRP, and then I want a fair trade-in for my car. I know what my car is worth. We can all go to Kelley Blue Book and look, right? Like you can look at trade-in values, you can look at private party values. And it's so annoying that even after you talk to them and you tell them that they come at you and then kind of insult you, right? And I'm just I don't know, I'm pretty
I know. I
disgusted
think
with
you
these.
and I expect we expect some sort of better humanity, that we're going to be talking to a fellow human that somehow has sympathy for our current condition, when really, and you and I mentioned this as well, that the agenda is, look, they're there to sell a car. They really don't have the power at the end of the day. They've got to go back to the guy with the red pen that makes the circle on the piece of paper. And it just becomes a very transactional. And so you almost have to, become an a-hole. That's kind of,
and that's what
unfortunately,
what
they want you to
happens.
think you're friends, but you're not. You're not.
And that's what happens. You have to go into a-hole mode. Okay, so
Mhm.
I looked at the Telluride and I thought, well, it is a V6, and that's the other thing. My Acadia is a V6. So a lot of these cars have shifted into turbo four bangers, right?
Yep.
And they're
Yep.
big full size or mid size SUVs, and they got turbo four bangers under them. I'm like, okay, but the Telluride, they're not giving anything off on that. It's like MSRP or bust, and in fact, they're going to try to even squeeze you just because it's been number one at Car and Driver for like 5 years straight as the top rated SUV.
This is one model below the Telluride.
Right. So the Sorrento's the next one down. So I thought, okay, we'll go the next one down. Drove it. I liked the way it felt. I felt like the turbo in it was real nice, and it had decent acceleration. It had a lot of features. Like that's where the Kias and the Hyundais really excel, is they give you a lot of tech, a lot of stuff in there that's really cool, like digital rear view mirror, suede headliner, especially if you go with the X-Line SX Prestige. But let's look at this because that's where I was zeroing in. I'm thinking, okay, I could get a really nice SUV. I love the warranties that they give you on the Kias and the Hyundais. I'm not going to lie. The warranties are great. But let's look at this, because they're willing to give you a $1,500 dealer discount on the website, right?
Right.
But then there's this dealer choice program with 3,000. If you take the 36 months, maybe you get 3,000, maybe not, whatever. So I go in and I'm thinking, maybe I can get 4,500 under MSRP on this. That's what it sort of looks like to me, right? I mean, it looks like that's what you're going to get. But then the shenanigans start, right?
Yep.
The shenanigans, and they act like, and this is what I hate, Shane, and there's something that's happened with dealers since COVID. Like before the pandemic, it seemed like things operated a little bit differently. They got all fat and happy and sassy over the pandemic, and they were just getting over MSRP or MSRP, and they were just it was ridiculous. And now it's almost like I don't see the same. They're not there, as you like to say it a lot, is like they should be bending over backwards to sell me a car. But it's almost like they're just sitting there and you're lucky to be talking to them or something. It's weird, man. It's just weird.
So, long gone are the days of, hey, what's it going to take to get you in this car type thing? And as cheesy as that sounds, it would be nice for them to say that. Instead, it's kind of sitting back on their haunches like, what are you going to do for me? I will tell you that the way they advertise this is super common. And they did this with my Audi as well. And I can tell that story later, because this is kind of about your journey. But they do this and they make it look like you get all of this, but that's only if you take the Kia financing, then you don't get the dealer discount, and you have to take that 5.5% for 36. It's like it's very
exactly.
very
It's
bait and switch.
deceptive. It's very deceptive. And so now let's say I'm going in, I'm having the conversation, and they said, well, what price do you want on the car? Right. And they play that game. And I say, well, I want a good price. And I say, I'd like at least $4,000 or $5,000 under MSRP. And why am I saying that? Because it's advertised online that if you combine a couple of things, maybe you can get 4,500, right? So then I talk trade-in, and the guy does this trick, right? The old trick in the book is, give me the keys, I'll go, do an evaluation, I'll drive your car around the block, we'll do an estimate, and then you don't see your keys again until they're ready to talk to you. And
of course not. Yep.
Right. And everything goes through the finance manager or the general manager or whatever. And so they did it again to me. And I'm sorry, I've been around the block and played this game before. So I keep an eye on the guy with the keys this time, and he walks right past us into the office. I said, yo, keys? And he's, oh, I said, sorry, man, I played the game. And he kind of sheepishly was like, yeah, okay, huh? And gives me my keys. And it's like, you're going to take my keys, so now I can't leave. So anyways, I'm not about sitting in these dealerships for hours and hours. So I said to the guy, I said, look, you got other people here, work it up, text me. All right. You know what I'm looking for, right? You know what I'm after. Otherwise, I said, at the end of the day, these are commodities to me. This is not, I've bought a Hellcat Red Eye. I understand that with a Hellcat Red Eye, I didn't have a lot to choose from, right? I had to kind of think, but still, it's going to be price. Price is going to make the decision, just like with your Audi, Shane. At the end of the day, you were open to a couple of brands, a couple of ideas, and that's the best way to go with cars. Like, I'm not stuck on anything. I'll be happy with this or that, or pivot this way or that way. Anyways, so then he sends me, I finally get a text. I would go to dinner, and I get a text, and check out what I get sent, right? Here's what he sends me, right? MSRP of, you saw on the website, of $48,485 doesn't even honor the dealer discount that's advertised. Now, mind you, here's the other thing I forgot to add. So you see that up here, it's a 2025 X-Line SX Prestige. So this is a car that was a demo car. It has like 945 miles on it, almost 1,000 miles on it. It had a couple of little blemishes here and there that were going to need to be fixed. So to me, this is almost not a new car. It's got almost 1,000 miles on it, right? The engine's almost broken in. It's like, what the heck? And you don't even, you give me a selling price of $500 under. So you don't even honor what you show on the website. Then try to give me a protection plan in here for $5,500. Then add-ons. This is garbage, like, the door jam PPF crap and some kind of protectant that they spray across the top of the car and wipe off, it costs them $1.99. Now, my trade-in. They first offer me $18,000 for a loaded GMC Acadia. Look, I know that it's a bad time to try to trade in right now. We know that, right? And I was hot, and he could see because I talked to these guys before about trading in a different car, and he was trying not to insult me with it, and so he upped it a little bit. I think he was going to give me like 18.9 or 18.8, and upped it to 20. And then obviously the thing I hate too is, why do you default to 8.99% APR when there's a program, again, advertised on your website that I can get it in the 5%? Why wouldn't you default to the most optimal situation and say, hey, if we can get you and your credit is good, I think we can get you a real nice deal here. Instead, protection plans, add-ons, lowball my car. It's all just, and then doesn't even honor as if we're blind. We can't see the website. We just looked at the website. We know what you're advertising, you idiot. So
this is so insulting. And I know that people that are going to watch are going to go, yeah, this is the playbook, but it's so insulting. It just speaks to, I don't give a crap about you. and I'm going to put in a C- effort to try and earn your business. And that is what a C- effort looks like, is you're dumb enough to go for a $5,500 protection plan that isn't even spelled out as to what you're buying. Is that an extended warranty? Is that some sort of maintenance? Then they throw in fees. Are those doc fees? What fees are you? And then you have to try and call the BS, right? Peel the BS away. So what I'm hearing though is, outside of the playbook, your experience, and I think why we're doing this video, and you were so infuriated and just defeated, was outside of the experience was the lack of just willingness to look like they even wanted to sell you a car. Am I wrong on that? They just
no, you're right. You're not. I've been in situations where people are, and people, I mean the dealerships, are really wanting to make a sale. Right. And it's all, and maybe they're selling enough cars right now because maybe they're flying off maybe they are, because they certainly don't act like, I've been chased down before. I've been like, after I walk out, I get a text later that says, hey man, a day later, if you come back in, I think we'll honor your price. And you go back in. And that's the point of negotiation, is you drive a hard bargain and then you settle somewhere that makes sense, right? I've never paid MSRP for a car except for one thing, my Hellcat. And this is not the norm. This is not the norm. You're supposed to be getting money off. I mean, I straight up went in and talked to him about an Elantra N over in the Dublin area. The guy said, what price are you looking for? I told him, wouldn't pay over MSRP. Came back, said, not going to happen. The lowest he'll go is 5K over MSRP. 5K over. I'm sorry, but an Elantra N is not some kind of like, it's not a BMW M2. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The other thing I'm seeing is like, the reason I say they don't want to sell me a car is I just don't see the aggressive dealer discounts that I'm used to seeing. And again, with interest rates where they're at, you would think that they would be jumping through hoops to try to sell. So let's go to these. I just want to show you here. So it's not like they got 17 Sorrentos on the lot, right? 32 Tellurides. Let's just look at the Tellurides for going back here again. A $750 dealer discount and maybe a 5.5% for 36 months. You get an additional $1,000 off. There's just nothing here. And again, this is a $55,000 car, all day. So it's like, and then C price and checkout, $500 off, C price and checkout. And it's just like, and they got 32 of these on the lot. Anyway, end of the day, the way I've come to be with this is that I don't know if I'm buying a new car in 2025.
Yeah.
Right. I just, that has been my thing. And I've looked at used, Shane. I walked the used lot's almost worse. It's like you maybe like the car might have 25,000 miles, like the same car. Let's take a Sorrento or a Telluride. It might have 25,000 miles on it. And instead of 55,000 new, it's like 48 now. At like CarMax or something, right? And you're like, what? I'm like, what? So yeah, I that's why I've come to the conclusion that the best car to drive in 2025 and maybe beyond is the car that's paid off.
That's right. That's exactly right. Amen.
I mean, I'm sitting here with a great car, like you said at the outset. It's loaded. It's got everything on it. So you know what I did? After we talked last, I made an appointment, went down, got 2 new tires. It needed 2 new tires. I just gave it a little maintenance, did the checkup on it, just the basic stuff, and changed the oil, and I'm good to go. And I'll just keep driving it because this is an insane market. And I do not feel like we are operating in an environment where the consumer is right. And the consumer should always be right, right? Customer is right. Like I should go in and they should feel like, man, these guys want to sell me a car. And so I left it. This is the thing you asked me the other day. Did they follow up with you, Jared? They gave you that price quote, right? Shane, I went back to him and I said, I picked this thing apart. I said, you got all these add-ons, you got this crazy stuff. You haven't even honored the price on your website. So I kind of blew him up a little bit. And his response was, yes, I am working on it. Well, that was a week ago, right? More than a week ago.
It's just when did it become such a painstaking, like where's the customer service, customer, if you ran a business like you ran that dealership, you wouldn't have any customers. He took your keys from you, you feel like you're a hostage. You wait around without any information, an hour goes by, what's going on? Your blood pressure starts to climb. What are they doing with my keys? Bring out, and then all of that time they bring that out to you. They might as well just punch you in the gut. I mean, I'd rather go have another colonoscopy than have to buy a freaking car. And so you're right. Maybe the caveat is, first, dealerships have not felt the deep pain that we hope that they feel, to where they flip that back around and say, we're going to start offering discounts. We want to sell cars. It just doesn't feel like that. And two, you're right. The paid off car, maybe people start making better financial decisions, right? That a used car is good. I have a boss that has a Tesla, 110,000 miles, and she goes, I keep looking at new cars, but she goes, this one runs just fine.
It's almost like they're just looking for the suckers to come in, because that sheet that they gave me, that's a sucker sheet.
Yeah.
And you gave me a sucker sheet, and now I'm insulted. And
I'm
not playing that game.
Yeah, it's kind of like the dealership's rule is kind of like the law that says, hey, you're innocent until proven guilty. The dealership says you're an idiot until proven otherwise. And that's where they start. You're an idiot, and I'm going to treat you like one, and then you have to tune them up. I guess it's kind of like psychological warfare for me, right? First is, I set the tone right off the bat. Like, I know exactly what I want. I said, hey, I know probably more about this car than you do. I've done a ton of research. I'm actively cross-shopping. Here are the other cars that I'm cross-shopping. I've owned these types of cars. So I don't need to go, test drive it around the block and you're going to show it off. So let's cut the BS. And then as they start to come at me with their stupid questions, I literally like deflect, like I'm Rex Kwon Do.
you're a ninja. You just,
They're like, how much do you want for your trade? Do you have a trade? And I'm like, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the car. Yeah, and so I kind of wear them down. They think they're wearing me down, but I also don't give them my time. I have actually set time limits. When I go to the dealership, I said, you have me for 20 minutes. 20 minutes. I'm looking at the clock. And if you can't give me answers in 20 minutes, I'm out. Okay, let me go get my boss real quick. Like I said, put it on paper, the selling price of this vehicle. You got 10 minutes to come back. Okay, now I got a price.
I do the same thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Shane. Yes.
And then I leave.
Because they start talking, well, do you have a trade? I'm like, don't worry about the trade.
Don't worry about
the trade. What's
the price?
Down?
Well,
what price do you want? What price do you want? I say, well, I want the best possible price, right? It's not like we're going to go back and forth. You have one shot with me. They blew it. So these people have blown it. I will never go back. I will never go back to a couple of these dealers. I will never go back again. It was a mask off moment for me. You pulled your mask off, and I realized you're just a friggin' jackass. So disappointing. The market is just horrific right now, and I don't know what it's going to take to. I think there has to be some bankruptcies. I think some dealers have to go out of business.
This is the problem I'm having: is you're not moving the metal, you're not moving the product. So, how many bankruptcies? How many dealerships close? Before, I mean, this is what's blowing my mind. And when I shopped my Audi, that Audi that I drove in October is the Audi I bought in February. Don't tell me you're moving metal.
I literally pull up the data on how long their cars have been sitting on the lot. And
good.
I pulled it up and I said, dude, this car has been sitting here 152 days. The one that he quoted me on. It's been on the lot 152 days. No surprise, because it's got almost 1,000 miles on it, and had a couple of little things on it that they're going to have to fix. And I'm like, 152 days, dude. Don't blow smoke and tell me that you're just moving metal left and right.
So basically, you were excited to go out and do some SUV shopping, and basically you're like, not going to do it. I don't even know if I'll do it for another year.
Well, yeah. Originally, I was going to go out and I was going to get 2 vehicles. Right. And I was going to get one that would be a fun daily, that would be manual, because I missed my manual transmission in my Challenger. But I also didn't want to spend 40, 50 grand on a car. And then I thought maybe I can upgrade my SUV too. Maybe I can refresh the fleet, the fleet of cars. Then I started getting disheartened, and I'm like, well, I'm not getting an Elantra N. I'm not doing that. And then I just have gone full circle to, I think, the way through this market right now is to shop older vehicles. And when I say older, like Shane, you and I, when we would buy a used, you used to think of that lease return. So about that 3 year,
3 years.
Yeah. So you're in 2025. So you'd be shopping like 2022s, maybe a 2021, something like that, right? And you'd be getting that, it'd have that sweet spot of under 30K miles on it, maybe. And you'd have that lightly used car. No, what I'm saying is, just like my Solstice, my Pontiac Solstice, go older. Like I was watching another video and the guy had just bought a 2013 Lexus, right, with lower miles.
Right.
So you can
Right.
find older cars where you're getting them on pennies on the dollar right now. And I think that's a really good way to survive the market.
You know, you get something Toyota, Honda, GMC like yours, you're going to be fine. 40,000. Most people will tell us in this chat, they're going to be like, why would you sell it? You can drive that car for 120K and probably not have any issues.
And that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, do it.
I keep thinking like, well, maybe the next holiday we'll see some legitimate deals, you know? I don't know.
I know we keep saying that. We've been saying that since, year one post-pandemic, but it may never change. Who knows? All right.
Thanks, everyone. Catch you on the next one.
We'll see you. Thanks, Jared.
Out.